Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving deep into Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now. Now, you might think a guide to spiritual enlightenment would start with, a moment of peace and tranquility. But this one, it actually starts with a moment of profound personal crisis.
Okay, picture this. Eckhart Tolle is 29 years old, and he's trapped in this relentless cycle of anxiety in deep suicidal depression. And there's this one single thought that just keeps looping in his head over and over again. But then, one night, that same old thought suddenly sparks something totally unexpected.
So here he is, right at the bottom, in the absolute depths of despair. And that one simple thought, it suddenly triggers this incredible, life-altering insight.
All of a sudden, he's struck by just how strange that thought is. He wasn't just in the thought anymore. He was actually watching himself think it. And that created this split. He thought, wait a minute. If I can't live with myself, then there have to be two of me, right? The I and the self. And in that instant, it hit him. Only one of them could actually be real.
That single realization was so powerful, so profound, that it just brought his compulsive thinking to a complete halt. It was like the sheer pressure of all that suffering forced his consciousness to pull back, to stop identifying with that unhappy, fearful self. And that false self, which is really just a story, a fiction the mind creates, it just collapsed.
So what Tolle went through, it really points to a fundamental flaw in how most of us go through life. It's this universal problem, and it's rooted right inside our own minds.
And this gets us right to the heart of the conflict that the power of now tries to solve. What is this internal voice, this tormentor that can make life feel so unbearable? Well, Tao was a name for it, the egoic mind. Think of it like a phantom self. It's a whole identity built out of that non-stop chatter in your head. And here's the big mistake we all tend to make. We believe that voice is us. We think we are the thinker. For centuries, Western philosophy has pretty much been built on this famous idea from Descartes. We've all been taught, in one way or another, to connect our very existence, our identity, with the fact that we think. But here's where Tolle flips the script. He argues that this isn't the fundamental truth at all. It's the fundamental mistake. He's saying that this very identification with our minds is the root cause of all our suffering. It's what keeps us enslaved to that constant, non-stop thinking.
This really gets at a crucial distinction. Look, the mind is an amazing instrument, right? It's a tool. The problem isn't the tool itself, it's how we relate to it. See, for most of us, we don't use our minds. Our minds use us. True being, on the other hand, is that stillness underneath all the mental noise. That's the source of real peace, and that, Tolle says, is your true nature. And this unconscious identification with the mind, it's not just some abstract philosophical idea. No, it has very real, very painful consequences that build up over our entire lives.
Tolle introduces this really interesting concept he calls the pain body. The idea is that every emotional pain we go through, especially the ones we don't fully face and accept, leaves behind this kind of residue. And that residue then merges with all the old pain and gets stuck in our mind and body, basically forming this negative energy field.
The crazy thing is, this pain body acts almost like a living thing. It can just lie there, dormant for a while, but when something triggers it, it wakes up and completely takes you over. And its survival? It depends on you unconsciously identifying with it. It literally feeds on pain, so it will actually create situations in your life, drama, conflict, anger, anything that generates more of that same negative energy for it to eat.
Okay, so if the problem is that we're unconsciously lost in our own minds, then the solution has to be about stepping back, right? It's about observing the mind from a totally new dimension of consciousness. And this right here is the beginning of freedom. Realizing that you are not the voice in your head. The second you start observing the thinker, you activate a higher level of consciousness. You realize you're not the thought. You're the awareness that's behind the thought. And the technique for this is surprisingly simple. You just start by listening to that chatter in your head. But here's the key. You listen without judging or condemning it. As you do that, you naturally create a separation. There's the voice, and here you are, listening to it. That simple act of witnessing is what takes away the thought's power over you. And it starts to create these little gaps in that constant stream of thinking. Now, these gaps, this state of no mind, it's not like you're zoning out or becoming unconscious. It's actually the complete opposite.
You're more alert, more awake, more present than you ever are when you're lost in your thoughts. It's a state of pure consciousness without thinking, and that is the real key to inner peace.
So, everything we've talked about so far is building towards the ultimate key, the way to finally free yourself from the mind and all its painful patterns.
See, the egoic mind is totally dysfunctional because it's always trying to get away from the present moment. It's completely obsessed with the past. That's where it gets its identity from. And it's obsessed with the future. That's where it hopes to find salvation. But here's the thing. Life only ever happens right now. The present moment is literally all you ever truly have.
There's this incredible quote from the 13th century mystic Meister Eckhart that just perfectly sums up Tolle's point. You see, time and mind are completely inseparable. So if you're trapped in your mind, you're trapped in time. To break free from the delusion of the mind, you have to break free from the delusion of psychological time.
So what's the ultimate takeaway here? The single most vital step you can take on this journey is this. Learn to disidentify from your mind. Every single time you create a gap in that stream of thought, just by being present, the light of your own consciousness gets stronger. You have to stop looking for yourself in your thoughts. Instead, find yourself in the stillness that lies between them.
And really, this whole exploration leaves us with one last, really profound question. If all the thoughts, the emotions, the stories you've always identified with are not actually you, then who are you? Who is the one that's aware of all of it? That's a question to carry with you into the now.